If you're a messy painter like me, here are some paint hacks that might help. Use painter's tape around the rim of your paint can before you pour your paint to keep it clean. Or you can grab one of these plastic reusable spouts, they work even better. Use tape to wrap the metal part of your brush to prevent paint buildup over time. If you're not super confident when cutting in, grab a file folder to slide along with you while you paint. This little trick also works really well on door frames. And last but not least, wrap your tray in press and seal. It makes it like it never happened. I hope this helps and follow for more. Here are 3 things I was told never to spray paint, but did anyway. First up is hardware. I've been able to bring so many vintage knobs and pulls back to life with just a little spray paint. Next up, outdoor lights. I spray painted my porch light gold 6 months ago and I have 0 regrets. Spray paint is also a great option for chairs because it can get the rungs way easier than a paintbrush. I've also found that with the right primer and clear coat, it's even possible to successfully spray paint plastic. Some other unconventional things I've spray painted would include bathroom fixtures and even curtain rods. As with most things, it all comes down to the prep work. Follow along to learn more. Let me show you how I turned this crusty old coffee table into the cutest miter saw station ever. I started by removing the old finish with the sander, and it was so worth it because look how gorgeous the wood was underneath. I used my favorite stain combo to stain the top and the legs, then I painted the sides and taped out the top. I wasn't able to salvage the sides of the top, so I painted them instead, but it worked out because it turned out so pretty. Then I pulled the rest of the tape, added new hardware, rub and buffed the old hinges and wheels, and here's how it all turned out. Now whenever I have to use my saw, I just roll it out, make my cut, and roll it back. Follow along to see more furniture flips like this one. If you want the custom paint hacks you can try on your next project. Grab a nail and a hammer, then hammer a few holes into the rim of the paint can. That way the paint has somewhere to escape to and won't dry up in the rim. You can also wrap a rubber band around your paint can to help you avoid wiping the paint off on the sides. If you have a stiff paintbrush, soak it with a little bit of fabric softener and water to soften the bristles. Use a paint stick and an edge pad to make your own extender for the hard to reach spaces like behind the toilet. If you're not comfortable cutting in, grab one of these little edge tools. They work really well on corners. I hope this helps and follow for more. Here's a little paint hack you can try on your next project that will give you the crispest, cleanest tape lines ever. Once you have the area fully taped out, go over the tape lines with the original wall color before painting your final coat on. This will seal the tape lines, making it so that no paint can seep through. This little trick works every single time. I even tried it on textured walls and was super skeptical, but it worked like magic. If you don't have the original wall color on hand, use a credit card to press down the tape lines. Follow along for more tips. Here are 3 paint hacks you can try on your next project. Use a long nail and a hammer to poke holes in the rim of your paint can so the paint has somewhere to escape to and won't dry in the rim. If your paint has a strong smell, pour a few drops of vanilla extract in to help neutralize the scent. Use an edge pad refill and a painter's stick to make your own extender for hard to reach places like behind the toilet and high up corners that are difficult to reach. I hope this helps and follow for more. This is how I painted my exterior door without a fancy paint sprayer and without taking it off the hinges. I picked up a paintbrush and these mini flock foam rollers. They give a really smooth spray-like finish. Then I taped off my doorknob and window and started painting. The best trick I've found to prevent roller marks is to roll your last coat on in one direction only. It feels strange doing this, but I'm telling you, it works. For the sides, I just slide a file folder in between the door and the door frame to prevent paint from getting on it, and then I wipe off the hinges, and that's it. Follow along to see more. Here are 3 budget-friendly accent walls you can create using only paint. First up, painted scallops, super easy, and they're perfect for a kid's room or nursery. And if scallops aren't your thing, give these retro stripes a try. These are great for that one spot in the house that just needs a pop of color. And last but not least, give this arch a try if you're going for something easy with high impact. Love this behind a bed. Follow along to see more. 3 things I wish I knew before I painted my exterior doors. Paint colors look very different outside than they do inside, so don't make the same mistake I did. Grab a sample beforehand to test out so you don't end up repainting. If the surface you're painting is rough, save your good brushes for later because they'll likely end up looking like this. Exterior paints tend to dry really fast, even on your brushes and rollers, so it's a good idea to have a bucket of water to soak them in between coats. I hope this helps and follow for more. If you're a messy painter like me, this paint hack might help you. I've shared about it before. It's something I like to call the file folder trick. Plastic file folders work best, but you can literally use anything, whatever you have on hand. You basically just drag that file folder along with you, and it keeps the paint off of whatever you don't want painted without having to spend a ton of time taping. Let me know in the comments if you've tried it and follow for more. Here are 3 paint hacks you can try using plastic wrap. In between coats, use a piece of press and seal to wrap your brush so that way you don't have to rinse it out every single time. Wrap a small piece of press and seal around the metal part of your brush while you're painting for super easy cleanup. And lastly, my favorite hack, line the inside of your tray with a piece of press and seal before you pour your paint. You'll never have to buy another paint tray again. It literally makes it like it never happened. Follow for more ways to work smarter, not harder. Here are 3 things you didn't know you could spray paint. First up, plastic. I spray painted my kids' plastic slide this spring, even though lots of you told me not to, using these products, and let me just say they have not been easy on it, but it's held up really well. Next up, shower fixtures. I gotta admit, I was not sure about this one, but I used this self-etching automotive primer followed by multiple coats of polyurethane, and they have held up beautifully. And lastly, curtain rods. This has saved me so much money because let's face it, they aren't cheap. Follow along to see more projects like this. This is how I painted my interior doors without a fancy paint sprayer and without taking them off the hinges. I ditched the paintbrush and instead went for these mini foam rollers. Then I taped out my doorknobs and my hinges and started painting. My secret for not having to take the doors off is something I like to call the file folder trick. Slide a file folder in between the door and the frame and then roll your color on. Clean off any excess paint from the hinges and that's it. Follow along for more quick, easy DIYs. Here are 3 paint hacks you can try on your next project. Next time you're painting a hard to reach area and don't have an extender on hand, that's okay. A broomstick will work exactly the same. If you're like me and constantly losing your painter's tape, give this little tape holder a try. It velcros right onto your wrist so you can get the job done in half the time. It's brilliant. And lastly, prep your roller by running it under warm water before you start painting. This will allow the roller to absorb the paint better and give you a flawless finish. Follow along for more. This is one of the best storage hacks I've found yet for under $20. I grabbed a cheap $10 towel bar from Walmart along with these little shower curtain rings and a bottle of gold spray paint. To prep, I just lightly sanded everything, then I used these foam blocks to prop the bar up while I spray painted it, and then I hit everything with a clear coat. Then I installed my towel bar, and now I have the perfect solution for hanging and storing my paintbrushes. I've also used this hack in my closet to hang up my pants and to organize my daughter's hoodies. I hope this helps and follow for more. Here's a little hack you can try for painting doors in half the time. All you need for this trick is a couple paint sticks and 2 small screws. Screw the paint sticks into the top of the door on both sides. This will make it so that you can prop the door up against the wall while you're painting. Then you can immediately flip it to paint the other side before the first side is dry. This will save you lots of time without compromising the finish. Follow for more ways to work smarter, not harder. I tested the coverage on these 3 primers so that you don't have to, and here's what I found. First up is the Kills 3 Premium Primer. This stuff went on so smooth and the coverage was excellent. Next up is the Zinsser Bullseye Primer. Way less coverage than the first one. Overall, I was not impressed. Lastly, I tried the PPG Seal Grip Primer, and it was a pretty close toss-up with the Kills, but once they were all dry, I think the clear winner here was the Kills. Follow for more. Here are 3 spray paint hacks you can try on your next project. If your nozzle gets clogged, try popping the cap off and throwing it into a cup with pure acetone. This should dissolve any paint that was dried in there and clear up the clog. To prevent clogs from happening in the future, flip your can over before you put it away and spray until nothing comes out but air. This will prevent paint from drying in your nozzle while it's being stored. If your hand tends to become fatigued while spray painting, I highly recommend this spray grip. It works with almost any brand of spray paint. I hope this helps and follow for more. Here are 3 paint hacks you can try on your next project. Drill a small hole in your favorite wooden paintbrush, then screw in a cup hook. Now you can hook your brush onto your bucket while you're painting. Grab a Ziploc bag and some scissors. Cut a small hole at the edge of the bag and fill it with spackling compound. Now you have an easy way to fill holes without having to carry around the whole container. Prep your walls for paint by cleaning them with one of these bad boys. A Swiffer would work just as well, basically anything that makes it so you don't have to get on a ladder. I hope these help and follow for more. Here's a little hack that will keep your tape lines looking super crisp. Start by going over your tape lines with the original wall color. Once it's dry to the touch, you can go in with your new color and bam, super crisp tape lines every time. I even tried this on textured walls and I was super skeptical, but it worked like magic. And if you don't have the original wall color laying around anymore, just running a standard credit card over the tape lines before you paint will make a huge difference. Follow along to see more. Welcome to part 2 of letting my 9-year-old design her own bedroom. We finished up the color block accent wall with the color she picked, and this is what it looked like when we pulled the tape. All was well until she decided she really didn't like the green, and we ended up back at the paint store picking another color to replace it with. Once she decided on a color, I got to work painting it over the green. We also decided to swap out the yellow we had for this mustardy yellow, and here's how it all turned out. She wanted retro. I think she nailed it. We have so much more planned for this space, so follow along. We tested out these paint products from the Dollar Tree so that you don't have to, and here's what we found. First up is this little mini roller set. It even came with a brush and gloves. Not bad for $1.25. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely thought this thing looked cheap and flimsy, but look at the finish. Next up is this little paint pail. I was impressed with this thing. It had this spot to clean your brush off, a little pour spout. Works just as well as one you'd buy from the hardware store. And lastly, we tested their standard paintbrush. I probably wouldn't use this thing for cutting in, but for general projects, it worked great. Overall, I'm pretty impressed. Let us know if there's any other products we should test and follow for more. Welcome to part 2 of letting my 9-year-old design her own bedroom. We finished up the color block accent wall with the color she picked, and this is what it looked like when we pulled the tape. All was well until she decided she really didn't like the green, and we ended up back at the paint store picking another color to replace it with. Once she decided on a color, I got to work painting it over the green. We also decided to swap out the yellow we had for this mustardy yellow, and here's how it all turned out. She wanted retro. I think she nailed it. We have so much more planned for this space, so follow along. Welcome to part 6 of letting my daughter design her own bedroom. Here's where we left off. Now that the room is all cleaned up and organized, we realized we were short on storage, so I came up with a plan to add built-ins to this closet. To keep the cost down, I challenged myself to build all of the shelving with just 2 sheets of 4x8 plywood, starting with the cubes. Once the cubes were built and installed, I cut the leftover plywood into strips to use as cleats. Then I installed the top shelf and nailed it down into the cleat to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. I used the exact same process to construct these little shelves in the corner. Then I installed 1x4s to the front of the shelves, and that's how I went from this to this. Follow along to see the rest of spray painted my shower fixtures gold, and I'm gonna show you how. I started by removing them, sanding them down, and then giving them a really thorough cleaning. Next, I taped out my shower head, and once everything was prepped, I sprayed my first coat in this self-etching automotive primer. Then I sprayed everything with 2 coats of Rust-Oleum's metallic gold, followed by multiple coats of polyurethane. There were 2 pieces of the shower fixtures that I couldn't remove, so I sanded them right where they were, put plastic up, and followed the same steps. Once everything was dry, it was time to reinstall, and this is how it all turned out. It's been 6 months, and they still look great. This is definitely the best closet hack that I've found so far. I bought these 23-inch towel racks off of Amazon for less than $30 each. Then I just used shower curtain hooks to hang up my pants and my hoodies. This is so much easier than trying to search for things in a drawer and super affordable. Follow along to see more.